Charlotte is the epicenter of NASCAR racing, and this weekend we celebrate all-star racing and all-star fans here at Lowe's Motor Speedway.
Tonight it's about no teammates, no friends, no favors.
When the event began as a Winston, none of us really knew quite what to expect, except we knew it was going to be fun, and we knew it was going to be all out, and it was.
Tonight, it's all take, no give.
If you like stars and cars, do we ever have a show for you?
This is their night to shine, all the way top to bottom, the driver, all the way down to the cash catcher.
It is time to get this party started at Lowe's Motor Speedway in Concord, North Carolina. Let's go Trackside.
Glad you're with us here at Lowe's Motor Speedway as our all-star coverage continues, and we continue to celebrate NASCAR racing with an all-star race where the winning driver walks away with $1 million and nobody remembers who finishes second. Jeff Hammond, Larry McReynolds, Steve Burns, Darrell Waltrip here. Small part of that celebration with you here on Speed.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to be on stage with guys that know what it's like to win that race. And I remember, you remember what it's like to win it, don't you, Hammond? 85?
I was just reading it right here, Darrell, just to make sure. Yeah, I do.
1985, it paid
Right.
$200,000.
And that was a lot of money.
Well, but remember something, that is the biggest race I ever won.
Yeah.
Daytona paid $175,000 in 1889 and 1889, yeah. Way back.
You and Dick Berger in a race then, right?
Yeah, me and Berger. But it's so much bigger now. I mean, from the first one in 85 to where it is today. Listen to the guys that have won this race in the last 5 or 6 years, 10 maybe. Gordon, Newman, Johnson, Kenseth, Martin, Harvick, Kane. I mean, nobody has this thing figured out. Nobody wins it every year.
No.
It's wide open.
You gotta sort something out for me.
Yes, sir.
The other night, Biffle, I told these guys, Biffle, I said, when you're closing on the final laps, and he was second last year, nobody remembers that.
I had no idea who was second.
He does. I said, does the $1 million enter your mind? He said, I don't care if it's for $1 or $10 million. I just want to win it.
Yeah, I think once you, here's the deal.
They said bull.
Yeah, well, I agree. Bull is right.
Hey, Darrell, just for the record, I looked in the camera. I said, here's the deal, Greg Biffle. When you win this thing, $999,999, what charity are you going to give it to? I challenge you.
When you put that helmet on, though, and for a period of time, it's just another race. I mean, when you put a helmet on and you sit down inside that race car, you're not thinking about how much money it pays. Now, when you come down to the end of the race and you see the cat in front of you and you might be able to get to him, that would be your motivation to try real hard to get up there and rattle his cage if you could.
That happened in 1989.
It did.
And what got me, again, reading these notes, some of these people put out some pretty cool notes, and it says, Rusty Wallace won that race, which everybody knows. But the key was a controversial move involving Rusty Wallace and Darrell Waltrip on the final lap of the final segment.
Well, and here's another thing that I thought about. Speaking of that race, how many of these races have been won on something happening on the last lap?
Probably
way too many.
50%.
I'd say maybe more than that, Larry, because I mean every race the 85 race we blew up, and then you go a few years later and there was the Bill Elliott, Jeff Bodine, Dale senior moment. There's all through there. Martin won one when Mark Martin didn't have a shot at winning in '98, and Jeff Gordon ran out of gas on the last lap. The one that Larry, yours, I mean,
I got a good idea. I got a good idea. Let's open up the show garage.
Let's do.
All right, we'll start with Jeff Hammond.
Okay.
And I want you to give me your favorite or most spectacular all-star memory since 1985.
I'm sorry, the spectacular memory is going to be 1985 for me because we're sitting there, and I thought that Junior Johnson had held us out too long. I wanted to stop a little earlier. And let me tell you real quick, Harry Gant stopped when you had a 10-lap window. Harry stopped first, we stopped last. And I thought it was going to wind up costing us, but Junior looked at me, and then he got on the phone, on the radio, and he told Darrell, he said, Darrell, you want to wind up being second or you want to wind up being first and win $200,000? And I'm telling you, it's like all of a sudden they lit a fire under DW, and here he come. And, I mean, off of turn 4, it looked like he hit the nitro. Here it come. He chewed up Harry Gant. When he got to turn 1, Harry went low, and Darrell said, I'm going high. And he just went to the outside and drove by him and was gone.
Yeah, that was a special one. But
it was.
You know, the one that fascinates me the most was the one that Jeff Gordon won in 2001. Because they dropped the green flag, and they go in the first turn, and, I mean, it's like the whole field wrecked.
Right.
There's cars wrecking everywhere, and Jeff Gordon's in the wall, and his car is torn all to pieces, and it's raining, and they stopped the race. Well, special rules for this deal. They're not the normal rules. They said, okay, guys, take your cars in there, fix them, do whatever you got to do. Jeff Gordon and them got a backup car out, took the motor out of the car they wrecked, put it in the backup car, started in the back of the field, and he won that race.
Yes, he did, yeah.
And that, to me, was like one of the best races and the greatest accomplishments for that race.
Fantastic story.
How about you there?
Well, I mean, obviously. I mean, Darrell mentioned it. You know, in 1992, we were fortunate enough that we had won the 91 race, and it was just kind of a ho-hum race. It was a 70-lap race, and we sat on the pole and led every single lap with Davey in the 28 car. But in 1992, we rolled the dice. We had an opportunity coming to the Coca-Cola 600 to win the Winston Million bonus because we had already won Daytona and Talladega. And Robert and Davey and I put our heads together and said, you know what? The most important race is our next race, and that's the All-Star race. And what a better place to test our Coca-Cola 600 car than the All-Star race. We took the white flag a distant third, and I'm thinking, you know what? We got off a little bit in that last segment, but we have learned so much, and we will win this $1 million next week. Well, little did I know what they were going to do over in turn 3 and 4. Next thing I know, we got another shot. And trust me, the 28 car was going to win the drag race back to the start-finish line with Robert Yates' horsepower. They crossed the finish line. And I think Kyle Petty put it in great perspective. Davey and Kyle were like two sprinters. And they got to the finish line, it's like, what do we do now?
Yeah.
It's like they forgot there was territory beyond that. But the one thing that I do want to say, and I know we need to go to break, when this race made a turn was when they decided to move it to Saturday night under the lights. I can still remember that race. They stopped those cars on the front straightaway for pictures, and it looked like 10 million flash bulbs. That, I mean, I'm getting tingles talking about it, 17 years later. But that's when this race took on a whole new meaning, was Saturday night under the lights.
I'll tell you real quickly, another thing that made this race special, and we knew it from day one, was when they sent that big airplane up to Indy. When this race was run before the 600 on the same weekend, they sent a big airplane up to Indy and got all the media that was at Indianapolis to cover the 500 the next day. I think there were 150 of them. Winston sent a plane up, got them all, and brought them down here so they could watch that first Winston in 1985. That set the stage for this race and how big and how important it would become.
Yeah, you know what I thought the biggest fan of it was?
No.
When Eddie Gossett set Bruton Smith's hair on fire when he threw the light switch for the first
That's
time.
when it became one hot night right there. Yeah, it was hot all around, baby.
Steve, read the sign.
Go to
thank
break.
you. Go to break.
Oh, good job. Thank you very
ma'am.
much.
I appreciate that.
Thanks for reminding us because we never really, boogity boogity and the
First things
snowball
first,
derby and
our advanced
Look
auto
Mom
parts.
and-
Who's on tonight? Robbie Gordon is going to join us, and Brad Keselowski, he's got a seat in the All-Star race. We'll ask him about it. Robbie Gordon hopes to get in. We'll be right back here on Speed.
Trackside is presented by new Shell nitrogen-enriched gasolines and brought to you in part by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Robbie Gordon is a three-time winner in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, but he's also raced the Nationwide Series, Trucks, Champ Car, IRL, Trans Am, IMSA, IROC, Off-Road, and Dakar. And welcome Robbie Gordon to Trackside.
let me see that hat.
What's the significance of the hats here, Robbie?
Well, we got some good stuff going on. We got Montgomery Gentry here, and you got cowboy hats, so you don't need.
I don't need cowboy hats.
That's a good call on his
Montgomery
part.
Gentry here this weekend with us.
Oh, okay.
Jim Beam, my sponsor, has a concert going on tomorrow night. Should be a good time.
See, unlike Hammond, I got a hat and cattle. See, he doesn't have.
This hat fits a little better than the hat Hammond gave me at Texas last year.
Yeah, I like this hat.
When you look like Juan Valdez.
How you doing, young man?
I think we're okay.
I almost have to rethink that. I just realized you are 40 years old.
Isn't that a great thing?
But no, here's why I say that. I still think you as being a kid. The way you play,
The way I act, maybe?
the way you race anything, everything, anywhere, anytime. I mean, how do you keep that up?
Good people, I guess. Just working hard and, you know, making sure all the programs are lined out. But we got a lot of races coming up this month and beginning of next month between Eldora stuff and Baja and obviously the All-Star race here and the 600 next weekend. So, and we've already been, we're going to be in this deal next year before we have to be voted in. I'm telling you, I'm
Made up your mind.
We're done. We're over with it. We started testing our road course program 1 week ago. And we've never been 6 weeks out on a road course program. So built new race cars, 2 brand new ones, and they're hot rods. So we were very good down at Road Atlanta, and look forward to seeing how we stack up going the next, say the next month. We're going every single week testing, and we'll see where we end up.
Put all your eggs in that basket. That's what I do.
You know, most of these races, you come here and you say, okay, when you go to, let's just say, any NASCAR race, you know, obviously take Kyle Busch out of the equation, or Mark Martin these days. And I said, that's a good thing that I'm 40 because my career just got extended.
That's right.
At the end of the day, the career just got extended with Mark, and he's having a great year and having good runs. But, you know, there's 20 guys that can win races on any given weekend. When you go to the road course, there's 7 of us probably, maybe 5.
Definitely smaller.
And you know, if we can be prepared and focused and have a 20% shot at winning that race, and make sure we dot all our I's and cross our T's, we're going to go for it. So look forward to Sonoma coming up, and I'm ready for the All-Star race. I think our car's pretty good. We were 12th in practice. We only made 1 qualifying run, and we were too tight, which was nice that we got to make one before we had to qualify tonight, because I think that's going to be important.
Daryl, you kind of look like Howdy Doody.
He's struggling.
I'm telling you.
I never had a head for a hat, you know?
Okay.
Robbie,
A full face helmet maybe, but not a hat.
Daryl mentioned one thing that impresses me, and it's the fact that you never quit. But the other thing that impresses me about you, being a single car owner, and when you look at so many cars out here week in and week out with blank quarter panels, you seem like you do a good job of keeping sponsorship on that car. I mean, you get it from Jim Beam, Menards, Monster Energy Drink. You had Quaker State at Darlington. You do a good job of keeping companies involved with your race team.
Yeah, we have obviously Mapei. We've got a tremendous group of sponsors that fill the sponsorship on the 7 car, and you know. How you say it, we just keep digging, and we work hard every week in and week out, not only on the race cars, but on the sponsorship. And I think we got some really good stuff coming with our race cars. And I look forward to the second half of the season.
Robbie, Steve brought that out. You know, you've driven everything. I think you've raced everything. And only thing I haven't heard you mention in is a Formula One car. Why NASCAR? I mean, why did you decide to stay there? Because I mean, you can go off-road racing and you can win every time you show up. You can go back to Indy, and you're very competitive up there. But you take on, I mean, what I consider the toughest circuit, the longest season there is, and you've kind of decided to put your ownership and all your kind of like, you know, all your effort here. Why?
Well, if it was easy, everybody would do it. And I think when you come to this level, you're racing the best teams in America, and that's what we thrive to do. You know, with our off-road program, we feel we're one of the best teams. We won the first race this year. We finished second in the second one. We finished third in the Dakar Rally up against Volkswagen, Mitsubishi, BMW, Mercedes, teams like that with our Hummer program. And, you know, I think that this is if you're going to strut your stuff, the Cup Series is where it's at. You know, we went bush racing, and, you know, I with our own team, we won in race 10. It was how I say, it was easy. Maybe a lot like the off-road. When you step up to the Cup level, this is the big leagues. When you race against teams like Hendrick and Roush, Childress, who obviously I was fortunate enough to learn some experience, gain a lot of experience, spent 3.5 years there. And I learned a lot from Richard. I've driven for Jack before in the Trans Am cars. And these are the players that build the best race teams in America. And that's something we thrive to do.
We'll have more with Robbie Gordon coming up. Meanwhile, we want to remind you of the Pennzoil Victory Challenge. It's all part of our All-Star coverage. NASCAR race day built by the Home Depot. There are going to be some smoky burnouts, including
be there, baby. I'm telling you.
including Darrell Waltrip.
Close my mic so I can't ask any questions.
Not where we could go to break.
Hey, to locate campgrounds near the Lowe's Motor Speedway, visit GoRVing.com. You'll also find virtual RV tours, a free DVD offer, and RV dealer and rental locations in your area.
Welcome back to the All-Star Edition of Trackside Live. Now, Elliott Sadler is going to be back on the show with us in a few weeks, and this may be one of the last times we have to come out, hang out, and have fun away from the stage.
Yeah, but this is also a cool place. This is Best Buy Live. You need to come on in. They got some cool stuff we need to see.
Let's go check it out.
Come on. This, I think, is one of the coolest things around. If you have like an office space at home and you can put this table in it, it's like an energized table. So you can have like your iPod or cell phone, anything down, lay it down, no cord, automatically charges it. Oh! Hey! All right, we finished dancing now. They even have racing simulators here. Let's go. We're going to race simulators.
And you what's up?
I'm going to beat you. I'm going to outrun you.
Oh, really?
Yes. Let that. He's a good-looking guy. Look. Look at that.
Well, Elliott, thanks for showing us around. Best Buy Live obviously has tons of fun stuff, and it's all free.
Man, thanks for coming.
You'll be back on the show in a few weeks
Coming
with
back
us.
in the show,
so until
baby.
then, what do we say? Back to you.
I don't know who
Steve?
we're throwing it back to. Are we throwing it back to Steve?
Back to you, Steve.
All right, thanks, boys. Appreciate that. And looking forward to having Elliott back with us in a little while. But for the meanwhile, our man's here, DW, and we're hanging out. Jeff Hammond, Larry McReynolds, and Robbie Gordon. Robbie, I was doing some research, and I didn't realize that your dad was quite a legend in his own right. They called him Baja Bob. I want you to tell us a little bit what it's like. I know you've won the Baja 1000 at least 3 times. How does that race even happen? Talk about the logistics and just what goes into it.
Well, it's that race there is so different than anything we do here. It's night and day. Because here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, every mile and a half, I can come in and see my pit crew. There, you may go 200 miles without seeing a person.
Wow.
And at 3 o'clock in the morning. So your preparation on your race cars have to be, sorry to say this, far superior to what we do here. The reason why is the suspension, the bumps, the rattles, the shakes, the vibrations that you get. If you don't use Loctite and you don't torque every nut and bolt, stuff just falls off the car.
And tell me about what happened in the race where you got lost. Or at least they said you got lost. Or you got off course. What did you do anyway? What was that about?
Well,
I mean, is that a bad, should I not ask you that?
no, you can ask me.
But I was just
I think
curious,
at the end of the day, they opened up the rules here a little bit, and they said you can, as long as you make the checkpoints, that's what they said at the driver's meeting. So at the end of the day, that's what I did.
You made
I made the checkpoints. Did I get on the highway? No. Okay, would I like to get on the highway? Yes, especially for the first 30 miles because it's nothing but 3-foot-tall bumps for 30 miles straight. The shock temperatures go to about 650 degrees through those bumps. And it's, you know, you'd love to get on the highway there, but other places, we basically race the course. We cut corners. I mean, that's, everybody does it. When they open up the rules like that, come back for the Baja 500, obviously, they've tightened up their rules. And no different than NASCAR. If they say, okay, we're going to let you have some gray areas here, you push the gray area all the way to the edge.
So you didn't break a rule, you just made a new one.
We just
kind of
refined the rule book
refined
just
it
a little bit.
Okay.
What's that, McReynolds?
I'm talking to the producer. He was telling me, I think that the Grand Marshal at Sonoma is going to be Kenny Stabler, the snake.
Snake.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
Yeah, y'all all looked at me.
You got caught this time on the talk back right there. Huh? Way to pay attention there, Robbie.
I was like, hey, they quit talking.
Yeah, I mean, the Baja thing, I didn't do anything more different than Hammond and McReynolds do in NASCAR, you know, push the rules.
Pays more to win, right?
Yes, and I was talking to Darrell, speaking of paying.
Yeah, look.
And I'm pretty bummed that I'm not in the burnout contest. I've got it down. If you do a backwards S and a burnout straight through it, you can do the dollar sign. So
He wants me to do
There's
it.
your challenge.
there it
Good.
is.
The dollar
Do
sign.
the dollar sign.
I told him I only got 30 seconds.
You can do.
Well, how long
It
does
can
it
take
take
you to do it.
You can do
I
it.
have no idea.
I mean, you ever seen how fast they go down drag strip? That's only 4.5 seconds. Come
Might
on.
take me 30 minutes. I don't know.
Time
Welcome
will
back.
expire.
We'll have more with Robbie Gordon when Trackside continues here on Speed as our all-star coverage continues. Glad you're with us.
Trackside is brought to you in part by Wrangler, proud sponsor of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Wrangler, real, comfortable jeans.
We're getting ready to head to the Irish Hills of Michigan in a couple weeks. Tickets still available. If you're making the trip or live in the area, call 1-800-354-1010 or visit misspeedway.com. There's Michigan Jim there in the background. He makes the trip, follows us around. Glad he's here with us. Well, time now for our Inside Sprint Cup mobile feature. This week we take a listen into the radio chatter from Darlington last Saturday night.
Radio check, 1, 2. 10-4, got you. Check 1, 2. I got you there. You got me okay? Got a copy. 10-4.
She's mean and she's fast and she's too tough to tame.
The Southern 500 is underway.
Michael Waltrip up in flames and into the outside wall. A shower of flames from behind the Napa Toyota.
Whoa, guys. Major issues. We have detonated big time. I got a vibration that keeps getting worse. We're going to have to come in at the front tire, I believe. Come in. We'll get the lucky dogs. Come in right now. 4 tires.
Jeff Gordon on pit road. Looks like he may have a cut down tire.
Dig. Keep digging. I think the right front wheel was loose, but he said he's got to get this time. Looks like it was loose. Good call.
Trouble turn 2. A car goes around and spins down the bottom of the apron. It is David Reagan.
Got to use your head out there, David. I seen what you're trying to do with that 48 car. Yeah, I didn't run in there on purpose. I guess he just checked up a little bit. I ran on in there about my normal speed, but I'll put that in my memory bank. I'm going to be delivered. Get him. We're okay, bud. For 20 laps, it's right wrecking us. Good for him. Everybody needs to take a deep breath. Everybody, just calm down.
Carl Edwards gets bumped by Greg Biffle. He hits the outside wall as the field streams by.
I think I touched him. Yes, initially I'd say it looked clean, Biffle. I think it was just the air of me being beside him. Got him sideways. Air does funny stuff. That's nice of my teammate to wreck me. What exactly happened there, Jason? He said he didn't touch you. It looked like he got into you a little bit just below you. Yeah, pretty sure he hit me in the middle of the corner there. I'm going to have to run hard from here on, guys. I saved you some fuel that time, I thought. You know, a little bit, but we're going to have to let the hammer down. This is your white. One more nice and smooth. No pressure, no pressure.
Mark Martin wins.
16. Good job. Awful job, Alan. Guys down there, Mark, way to drive that thing.
A big win for Mark Martin, and Robbie thinks that's a good thing, and it's extended his career.
That's it.
Well, we've already seen these guys when they get to be 50 years old. They're definitely not washed up, are they, Robbie?
No, I think, you know, with these cars, and in any race cars, it's experience.
Yeah.
You know, you get the young drivers like Kyle that obviously brought tons of experience when he came here, and he's very brave to still drive it. Then you got a guy like Mark that Darlington, I mean, our car probably didn't have a scratch on it. And if you can go to Darlington and race Darlington without putting a scratch on your car, you're going to have a weapon at the end of the race to deal with. And everybody else is going to have to deal with it. So that comes by experience.
Speaking of experience, a few years ago, you let me accompany you, and I do appreciate this, a fond memory of mine, going to Indy for qualifying when you were still doing the double. Ever have any interest going back and running at Indy again?
You know, I do and I don't. Maybe if they had 200 or 300 more horsepower. I think they're underpowered right now for what they are, and basically you're just driving it on a very, very fine edge, which, don't get me wrong, is a lot of fun. But at the same time, I like as a race car driver where you have to pedal the thing, you got to lift out of it, you got to drift a little bit and get back in it. And if I can save my tires better than you, then at the end of the run, I'm going to have better tires left, and we're probably going to beat you. With that deal, it's just how brave are you, how -6 or whatever they are on rear wing can you go and hold your breath for, you know, how you say it, 25 minutes at a time as you're wide open. So I think they need to figure out how to put some power back in those engines to make them where you have to drive the vehicles. And you can put some downforce in. Then you can choose if you want to go fast down the straightaway or if you want to go fast to the corners.
Yeah.
There's 2 choices.
You know, Robbie, we got a special weekend coming up next weekend when we're back here for the Coke 600. It's Memorial Day weekend, and something that Jim Beam, your sponsor, yourself, in honor of our military, you're running a special paint scheme, but also making a very special donation as
Yeah,
well.
you know, Beam has been great. They've been a sponsor of mine for 5 years now, and I feel like we have a great relationship. Actually, Freddie Noe, the great-grandson, was with me last night. We had a grill out at my house and just spent a bunch of time. Great people, great sponsor, do a wonderful job promoting, and they do a lot for the community as well. And I look at the military program here with Operation Homefront, and we live in a great country. I mean, honestly, without the military, without our troops, without those guys out there on the line fighting for us, you know, we probably wouldn't live in a secure country as we do, being able to have NASCAR races in our backyard. I've been fortunate enough, I've gone to other countries and seen what they have and how they operate, and America is the best by
You're
far.
donating a check for $25,000, I think is what they're doing, right?
$25,000 to Operation Homefront.
Beautiful.
Great cause, great sponsors, and you know, just happy to be involved with it.
Got to get your opinion on one more thing. Danica Patrick, do you think she could cut it in a stock car?
You know, she's impressed me there. I mean, honestly, with the IndyCar, she has impressed me. And where she's even impressed me more is the road courses. Seems like she's been able to hold her own there as well. I watched her at Long Beach a couple weeks ago. That was impressive. So, you know, would she be able to hold her own with stock cars? Love to see her come. You know, I feel that, you know, I've enjoyed my IndyCar career, but I still feel the best racers in America are right here in NASCAR. And if she wants to beat the best, come on down.
Attaboy.
There you go.
Hey, best of luck getting the All-Star race. Appreciate it, Roger.
Thank you.
All right, man.
All right.
Well, before we go to break, we need to check in with our man, Rutledge Wood.
Steve, I am down here. Since you know it's All-Star Weekend, we pull out all the stops. And this weekend, we have a very special pit reporter. This is my friend Zach Taylor from Pittsburgh. Now, Zach, 13 years old, you're here with Make-A-Wish, and you've been one of our lead pit reporters all weekend. How do you feel so far?
I feel good. It's been a good week for me, and my lifelong dream has come true. And what else is there?
Now, who have you liked so far that you've talked to? I know, who's your favorite driver?
Jeff Gordon.
But you've talked to all sorts of guys. Who's been your favorite so far?
Jeff.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
You think with your extra luck, he's going to win the All-Star race this weekend?
I don't know. I can't be biased, but I think he might win.
Now, see, that's the sign of a true professional. Now, you know you're going to be on NASCAR Smarts with yours truly. Do you feel like I'm going to get more answers or you are?
Me.
No doubt about it.
I feel I'm going to get more answer because Zach, my friend over there, said that you really haven't gotten an answer.
Well, we know that too. All right, so you got to help me take the break. We'll be right back. We got lots more Trackside Live. All right, tell them who you are and we'll be right back.
I'm Zach from Pittsburgh, and we'll be right back.
Brad Keselowski has a spot in Saturday night's All-Star race here on Speed. He did it by shocking the world and winning at Talladega. And welcome Brad Keselowski to Trackside.
How about it, young man?
How are you guys?
This is really a young man.
I guarantee you, yeah.
Good to see you guys.
Good seeing you. We hadn't had a chance to, see each other face to face since Talladega. Congratulations. That right there had to be awesome. Has that, as Mark Martin tried to allude to, has the feeling wore off yet about winning that race?
I hope not. I'm trying the most I can to maintain that feeling, but it's great, and I'm looking forward to having the opportunity to do that again. Maybe even this week here in the All-Star race with the 09 car, Miccosukee Chevrolet. This is my first time back in it since Talladega.
All right, I was pretty impressed, obviously, with the win at Talladega, but I believe I was more impressed with that run last week at Darlington. I mean, you only got about 6 Sprint Cup Series starts, and you sat there and ended up finishing right in the middle of the top 10. That was a pretty good run.
Yeah, that was awesome. You know, Lance McGrew, and that's the Hendrick Motorsports 5th team, because you're only allowed to have 5 teams for a part schedule, so I can run 7 races with that team. And Lance McGrew and the GoDaddy.com gang did a great job. Important race for them because my sponsor just happened to be the presenting sponsor with GoDaddy.com, so it sure was great. We had a great time, and I actually thought at the end we had a shot at winning it, but you know, an awesome effort, and I can't wait to go back there next year.
Brad, you've made the move up, it seems like, maybe not to you, but to us, in a hurry. And, you know, it was just 2007. You were racing with a team in the Nationwide Series. They had to shut down. And Darrell has talked about this before. racers always get to a fork in the road where they have to make decisions about their life. How did you stay on that path where you thought, you know what, I'm going to make it?
Well, I think it was a combination of persistence and luck. You know, I really don't know anything other than racing, so I would fail at anything else. So I really had to find a way to make this work. And, you know, I refused to lose. I refused to be pushed out of this sport. And I kept getting opportunities with small teams, and they kept folding up, kept going under. I think I went through a string there of about 3 or 4 teams that I got to run 2 or 3 races with them, and they folded up a week later. So, you know, eventually I was able to catch the attention of Dale Earnhardt Jr. and get to ride in that 88 car. And, you know, the rest has been history now that I'm aligned with some good people and some good folks.
You know, Brad, one of the things that I was impressed with was the way you handled yourself after the Talladega race. The interviews you did, the way you expressed yourself. I think about you, and I think about that commercial that you and Dale Jr. do where you're trying to get a word in, but you really don't ever get an opportunity to. But when you do, when you finally did get a chance to be out there, the star of the show, you really came across well. Very articulate, and you were not arrogant. You just said, hey, I did my job. I really appreciated that in a young man, and a lot of that has to do, I think, with your bringing up. Your family has been in racing. You grew up in racing, but nonetheless, I was very impressed with the way you handled yourself after all those press conferences and interviews.
You know, I was impressed with Carl because, you know, that whole scenario and the way it went down, Carl really could have treated me a lot worse than he did. Yeah. And I can't tell him how much I appreciate that as much as I do, because right or wrong, he could have gone out there and said how I did him wrong, you know, and he was cool about it. So that was awesome.
Yeah, I think when he got out of the car and took off running, he was actually looking for you, but
couldn't catch him.
Couldn't find you. Did you throw the trophy in victory lane?
Yeah,
Trophy?
That was pretty cool. You know, Aaron's $4.99 trophy, and you know, we're just having fun. Victory lane is supposed to be fun, and what's funner than throwing stuff? So.
I'm glad the boys caught it, though.
They did. It was a great catch. I was impressed.
Hey, more with Brad Keselowski coming up. Meanwhile, we want to remind you on Thursday, Wrecked returns to speed when motorists wreak havoc in the heart of the Windy City. Only one company can bring Chicago back to life. This season, get hooked all over again. Wrecked, Life in the Crash Lane. New series season premieres on Thursday. Trackside Live back at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. A couple of raindrops falling, but it's not raining on our All-Star Parade. And we are back with Brad Keselowski. Brad, I'm curious, too, at the beginning of the season, I think we even talked to you in Daytona about what your schedule was going to be like, and you weren't even really sure then what it was going to be.
Yeah, well, I'm still not sure if that makes it feel any better. Yeah. You know, really, I'm just taking it week to week. We have the All-Star race here, and then my next race is in a 25 car at Dover. And then from there, I don't know. We'll see. We have several races scheduled with the GoDaddy.com car. I think Chicago comes on after that. But the 09 car, just kind of taking it week to week and just picking and choosing and having fun with it.
Well, speaking of having fun, and you mentioned a 25 car, you can tell us, okay, just amongst us friends. What's the situation look like as far as Hendrick? I know Rick is looking at you. He's very high on you. But, you know, with Mark announcing he's going to come back next year, I mean, does that clear up where you're going to be doing in the near future, or where does that put you?
Well, I think there are a lot of variables in that whole scenario. And, you know, the first one was Mark. You know, the basics of it are that, you know, Mr. Hendrick and I, we agreed kind of sorts that I would be there waiting for Mark, and in case Mark decided he didn't want to continue on. And so the 7-race schedule that I had with HMS this year was kind of in preparation in case Mark decided he didn't want to keep going. And now that Mark has kind of decided to keep going, it's kind of like I'm kind of a backup plan, and now I'm kind of stuck here. You know, I don't know exactly where we're going to go with it from here. So there are a lot of options on the table. You know, I'd like to stay somehow connected through HMS, if that's a possibility. But like I said, there are a lot of variables. You know, there's the option to go over and drive another car for Tony, which I haven't spoke with Tony directly, but I would love to do that and would certainly think that's a great organization. But that comes down to sponsorship. So, you know, you can't really start a third team without a sponsor, and it's going to take a marquee sponsor to make that happen. So there's a lot of other variables involved in that, and I hope that we can work it out because I really want to run full-time in Cup next year because I feel like in order to take my effort to the next level that I need to compete every week. You know, it's really hard to come in and run on the Cup side and not compete every week because the sport changes so fast that, you know, I find things that may have worked at Texas 3 weeks ago, and we go to put them on the car at Darlington, and it's like, whoa, 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 that was 3 weeks ago. That technology, we're not even on the same page here. So I can't keep up with it running week to week. So I feel it's important to continue to be successful to run every week.
You know, Brad, the Keselowski family, I mean, it's all about racing. I mean, your dad, Bob, your mom, Kay, your brother, Brian, and I guess when I watched you win that race, that was one of the first things I thought about. Of course, we were very busy with our broadcast, but what is Bob and Kay thinking about this? I assume they were at home watching.
They were at home.
And the first phone call, I guess, you got from them.
Yeah, that was the first phone call. I called my mom, and she was ecstatic. She was excited. If you know my dad doesn't get very excited over things like that. So he just kind of, you know, hey, that was pretty good. You did a good job.
Dads just expect that, you know?
Yes, exactly. That was
what
expected.
took you so long?
I think
Sounds a lot like Leroy, didn't it?
Exactly.
His exact words were, I'm glad you want to race while I'm still alive.
That sounds exactly like Leroy.
I've heard that many times.
But that had to be
cool.
so special for them to see you win that early in your Sprint Cup Series career.
It was really awesome. It was really unexpected. You know, I really didn't know. I knew I had a shot at it. I knew I had a strong car all weekend. But I really went through a lot of hurdles to get there. You know, we got in that first wreck. I didn't really make contact, but somebody's radiator came out and went through the front end. So my team did a great job of patching that up, getting me back out there. And, you know, I also blew up an engine in practice. So I had to start in the back.
The rear,
so, there were a lot of hurdles there to make it there. So it certainly was uneventful, and it's certainly a race that I'll never forget.
We're going to have more with Brad Keselowski in just a few minutes. We're going to go to the Lazy Boy Lounge. Meanwhile, we have to go back to Rutledge Wood, who is trying to catch up with the most colorful fan.
You know, when I asked my friend Left Turn Lindsay to find the most colorful fans here today for M&M's, I had no idea you would come up with the mother load.
Well, take a look at these beautiful ladies behind us.
Okay, ladies, I couldn't help but notice your hair looks fantastic. What do you do to keep that up?
Well, at the beginning, you put a bottle in the center of your hair, and then you lean over and you gather it all together, and then you tie it at the top of the bottle.
Is it hard to find a hat that fits?
No, not really. All you gotta do is find an empty water bottle and just put it all together.
So my hair, maybe I could do that one day?
No, you have to have long hair.
You gotta have long hair. You know who would really love that? Is my friend Larry McReynolds.
Eat your heart out, Larry!
Oh, did you hear that, Larry? You can't do this. You need hair.
That's just not right, Larry Mack.
I didn't like that, Larry. Larry, I'm offended by that.
Yeah.
I'm glad. We're still together.
I will take care of him for you.
Go to NASCAR.com, most colorful fan, for your chance to be M&M's most colorful fan of NASCAR winner. On the site, you can vote for your favorite, play the instant win game, and upload your own colorful photos for the chance to win a trip to the final race of the season at Homestead Miami Speedway, where M&M's will crown the most colorful fan of NASCAR. More with Brad Keselowski up next.
Trackside is brought to you in part by Wrangler, proud sponsor of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Wrangler, real, comfortable jeans.
Hey, we're back at the Lowe's Motor Speedway on All-Star Weekend in the Lazy Boy Lounge, and we've got a little Michigan theme going on here because we have confirmed that Lazy Boy's headquarters are in Michigan.
Monroe, Michigan.
Monroe, Michigan. Yeah. And Michigan Jim, he comes to a lot of our races and hangs out. Are you a Big Blue fan?
I am a huge Wolverines fan. I see him all the time. I watch you guys' show, and I see him in the background all the time. And I finally had to stand up, walk over there and shake his hands, a big Michigan Wolverines supporter that he is, and so am I. So hopefully we'll have a better season this year. We're all pulling for him.
There's Michigan Jim right there. Big fan. Glad he's here. You talked about your family and the fact that racing was all you ever knew. I mean, was this the choice? In other words, I guess I'm thinking, well, what happened if it didn't work out? Would you still have worked in racing?
Yeah, my dad never really forced racing on me. You know, I'll never forget the opportunity that I got to drive the first time was in a quarter midget. And it started out with, you know, my dad was driving me to school one morning and said, hey, you know, just kind of nonchalant, you know, there's a quarter midget buddy I've got who's got one sitting in the corner. If you want to drive it, you can. And I really thought he was joking. You know, I'm like, come on, that's just cruel. You know, of course I want to drive it. Of course, you know. And so I got the opportunity to drive it and started winning right away and kind of grew from there. But there's no guarantees that I was going to make it as a driver. And I spent a lot of time working on my family's NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series team, as it was back then, and learned a lot, learned about the cars and trucks, and eventually got a chance to drive them.
There's a win by your dad there, that 29 at Richmond. And, you know, Darrell talks about confidence a lot with drivers. You know, it's almost just a feeling they get. And I'm like Larry, I kind of agree the Talladega win was great, but how you ran at Darlington, because I was listening to you on the radio and you said, hey guys, I'm just going to race the track for a while. I'm going to be careful. And by the way, at halfway, I want a sandwich.
Yeah, I love to eat during the races. The cup races are so long.
How do you eat with a full face helmet?
It's hard. They cut my sandwich in half, which they make fun of me for. So they cut my peanut butter and jelly sandwich in half, and then they hand it in, and I eat one half during the yellow, and then save the other half for another yellow, and it's great. It's perfect. But yeah, getting back to confidence, you know, I came here and tested last year the 25 Sprint Cup car, which I was going to run that race last year, but got rained out, didn't get a chance. And, you know, I didn't have any confidence at all. And, you know, I could tell as soon as I pulled in the gate today in my first lap on the racetrack how much more comfortable I was in the race car and how much better feedback I was able to give because of, you know, the success I've had over the last few weeks.
It's amazing, Brad. This sport can be so humbling. You know, the beginning of the season and the Nationwide Series, heck, it seems like you guys were in a wreck every week.
Yeah.
And you know, you would drop so far in the points, and now you're sitting here in the Lazy Boy Lounge. We're talking about the All-Star race and winning at Talladega.
It's a roller coaster, isn't it? You know, I think all you can really do is you try to maximize the highs and minimize the lows. And the start of the year was very low, very, very low. It seemed like I couldn't do anything right, you know, and ended up getting wrecked at California. I wrecked myself at Daytona in the Nationwide car, and I just wasn't catching breaks, and I was making poor decisions, and it was a combination of them two. And now it's the opposite. I'm catching some really good breaks, and I'm not making any mistakes. So I'm sure that'll circle back around, as it always does. But for right now, it's working.
All right, we'll have more with Brad Keselowski when Trackside Live continues. We should go to the plant in Monroe, Michigan. This is nice stuff.
I'm proud of them.
All right, more with Brad Keselowski when Trackside Live continues.
Trackside is presented by new Shell Nitrogen Enriched Gasolines, brought to you in part by Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries. Comfort, it's what we do. And by NASCAR Banking, only from Bank of America. Your debit card, your credit card, your driver. Learn more at a Bank of America banking center.
Next Friday night, we'll be in Uptown Charlotte. We love going down to Speed Street. Big crowd there. 7 o'clock Eastern. Jimmy Johnson among the guests. That's next Friday night.
Brad, I don't believe you'd have won Talladega if it hadn't been for Regan Smith. Because I don't believe, I understand you had quite the conversation with John Darby before the race at Talladega. Would you expound on that a little bit?
Well, you know, the rule there, it's up for some kind of interpretation. And so I just wanted to make sure I understood NASCAR's interpretation, because that's really the only one that matters. And the basics of it are, I had thought that if you made contact and were forced down, that it was okay. But they kind of clarified that as, no, that's not okay. So the basics of it and how that changes your strategy is that you have to get on that yellow line and you have to hold the wheel straight and make sure you absolutely do not, even under contact, go under it. So, you know, had that not been the rule, there's the possibility that I would have made contact and been able to get away from them, but it didn't work out that way.
You know, I had somebody one time, we discussed this. I'd look at that solid, you know, double yellow line, and you almost treat it like it's an inside wall.
Exactly.
You know, you go down to it, but it's like an invisible wall. You know, you'd hit it, you know, and that's the way you treat it. And that's what one of the NASCAR guys said. If you treat it like there's a wall down there, you'll be a whole lot better off.
Did you hear your spotter? Did you hear Steve when he was calling at you?
Yeah, Steve was pretty excited. Yeah, my spotter.
But I mean, you know, here you are. You're making contact. You're going 200 mile an hour, and he says, "Don't go below that yellow line." and you didn't.
No, I was not going to go below it. You know, definitely when you're pushing another car, it's really hard because I couldn't even see the line to begin with when I made my move. So you're kind of making a guess. I think it's right here, and I'm going to hold my spot right there.
Well, Brad, go ahead and win $1 million Saturday night. Why not, right?
I'm ready. I'm excited about it. Got a great Miccosukee Chevrolet, and I'm glad to be back working with that group. And ready to go on for next season.
All right.
All right. Good job.
Thanks for spending time with us. Hey, be with us next Friday night, 7 Eastern.